You ever seen 23 super yachts worth a combined $175 million docked at one marina, every hull shimmering in the morning sun like a lineup of floating palaces? Yeah, that was my Tuesday right before Lysandra Blackthorne came marching in with 7 private security guards and declared in front of 600 witnesses that my entire 650 slip facility now belonged to her HOA. She thought she was about to add another trophy to her family's collection. What she didn't know was that in less than 4 hours, a convoy of black SUVs would roll up not to support her wild claim, but to haul her off in handcuffs after she confessed to enough federal crimes to make national headlines. You want to talk about poetic justice? Strap in. See, 96 hours earlier, I'd been standing in a federal courthouse in Detroit, signing papers that were about to flip my world upside down. Name's Garrison Wolf, 38 years old, and up until 6 months ago, I was Chief Accounting Officer at Neptune Shipping International. My life was spreadsheets and long lunches right up until I discovered our CEO had been laundering $3.2 billion through phantom cargo manifests. Turns out a conscience can be a dangerous thing. I blew the whistle, took the deal under the Whistleblower Protection Act, and handed over every scrap of evidence. My testimony put 47 executives behind bars in what became the biggest maritime fraud bust in U.S. history. In return, I got a new life, a new identity, and weirdest of all, the keys to one of Neptune's seized assets, Sterling Bay Marina. Now you've got to picture this place, Lake Michigan, looking like polished steel, the sky reflecting in perfect ripples, and a marina that stretched out like a city of boats all neatly lined up. Commercial vessels in Section A smelled like diesel and honest sweat. Section B was all family sailboats and million-dollar toys. But Section C, way at the end, that was different. 8 slips for vessels over 200 feet each with its own security gate and shore power, fit for a 5-star hotel. Overlooking it all sat the old main office, a 2-story time capsule from 1895, hardwood floors creaking under my feet, windows that had watched ships come and go for a century. I remember thinking, okay, Garrison, maybe this is the start of something good. If you've ever been bullied by an HOA or you've fought to hang on to what's rightfully yours, you're going to want to pay attention to what happened next. Because what I found, buried in the basement archives of that marina, the legal precedent from 1895, the old deeds, the original commercial shipping rights, could save your property from exactly the kind of predators who tried to take mine. And let me tell you, the FBI found even more when they started digging into the woman who came for my marina. The first 3 days, honestly, were bliss. I learned the ropes met. The renters fell in love with watching the sun rise over the water from my apartment balcony. And then right on schedule, chaos rolled up in the form of a purple Rolls-Royce Dawn at 9:15 a.m. Out steps Lysandra Blackthorne, president of Lakeshore Estates HOA. She looked like she'd been carved out of old money and new entitlement, decked out in a cream pantsuit, pearls flashing, and heels that probably cost more than my first car. Her squad fanned out behind her lawyers, official photographers, and 3 private security guys who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. She didn't waste time. "Mr. Wolf, we need to discuss your situation immediately." She made it sound like I'd caught a terminal disease she could cure for the low price of giving up everything I owned. "Mrs. Blackthorne, I wasn't aware Sterling Bay Marina fell under any HOA jurisdiction. This is private commercial property." She laughed, think champagne flutes shattering on marble. "That's where you're mistaken. This entire waterfront has been under HOA governance since 1923. Your predecessor understood the arrangement. I trust you'll be equally cooperative." Now I'd faced down corporate crooks in court, so I didn't flinch. Her team spread out taking photos, measuring windows, blocking the doors. She tried to drop the hammer. "You have 72 hours to sign over control to the HOA. We'll let you stay on as manager at a modest salary. All decisions will require board approval." I told her to get out, voice steady, no shouting. 72 hours, Mr. Wolf. After that, things become unpleasant. On her way out, she rattled off the names of other marinas she'd taken: Sunset Harbor, Crystal Bay, Eagle Point, North Shore Marina. She thought she was threatening me. What she really did was hand me a confession. I called my attorney from the whistleblower case, Patricia Stone, who lives to destroy corrupt legal systems. "Garrison, this is organized crime with an HOA badge," she said. I dove into county records, and what I found was chilling. Every marina she'd taken followed the same script: harassment, bogus violations, lawsuits, until the owners caved. Every deal funneled through the same shell company, Blackthorn Maritime Trust. And every marina, I realized, had once belonged to the original Sterling estate. That night, as the sun dipped behind the lake, my door creaked open. Judge Morrison, retired after 40 years on the bench, came by in a fishing vest with a tackle box full of legal documents. He'd kept copies of the ruling from 1970's 17 lawsuits the Blackthorns lost, including a court order permanently barring them from interfering with Sterling properties. "They've been at this for generations," he told me. "The Sterling family didn't just own marinas, they held the original shipping rights for this whole section of the lake, rights worth $500 million today. No wonder Neptune wanted this place, no wonder Lysandra did too." That was the real secret hiding in plain sight. The Sterling Dynasty Agreement, signed in 1895, never revoked, granting monopoly shipping rights for 200 years. And in the archives I found something else: a cease and desist order from 1923, warning the newly formed HOA to stay away or face legal action. Lysandra was bluffing with bad cards. Next day, the attacks started. 17 violation notices on my door, improper flag display, excessive horn noise, unauthorized commercial activity, and my personal favorite, failure to maintain historical building standards with an estimated restoration cost of $12 million. But then Victor Petro, Crystal Bay's former owner, showed up to warn me, "She's not after your marina, she's after what's under it." My grandfather said there are sealed tunnels beneath Sterling properties, something called the Brandy Vault, a treasure trove of pre-prohibition spirits worth $500 million on the auction market. It got wilder. The FBI called Special Agent Coleman, wanted a meeting at the Copper Kettle Cafe. They'd been watching Lysandra for years: tax evasion, racketeering, shell companies, excavations for foundation repairs. When I mentioned the Brandy Vault, Coleman's eyes lit up. "That explains the geological surveys. She's hunting for something specific." The FBI set up surveillance, and Coleman warned me, "Lysandra's desperate. Document everything. And whatever you do, don't sign anything." On day 2, my water supply was contaminated with salt. My booking system got hacked, deleting 3 months of reservations. 7 law firms hit me with $80 million in lawsuits, trying to bankrupt me overnight. Patricia laughed when she saw them. "They filed in federal court, now we can open them up to RICO charges." Lysandra had just committed her first federal crime. But I wasn't alone. 23 yacht owners called an emergency meeting, captains of industry who'd docked here for decades. They formed the Sterling Defense Fund, $20 million, to fight any hostile takeover, plus connections all the way to the State House. A call from a senator, a congressman, the attorney general, all in my corner. The twist came when I noticed the paper on those violation notices. It was federal supply paper, traceable right to the Department of Interior. Lysandra had been forging historical documents with stolen government supplies, federal crime number 2. Deadline day. At dawn, my cameras caught a drilling rig crew in fake company uniforms setting up on my property. Lysandra on the phone ordered them to drill for the vault. FBI agents, yacht security renters, and even Judge Morrison watched as the drill hit steel, an impenetrable plate placed to protect the secret below. Helicopters appeared, feds poured out. Lysandra stormed in screaming, "This is my property. The Sterling estate belongs to my family." Coleman arrested her for 43 federal charges on the spot, but Lysandra had one last play. "You don't know what you've inherited, Wolf. The Sterling secrets will destroy you just like they destroyed them. Turns out the steel wasn't just a barrier, it was a vault door. The feds cut through, and what we found wasn't a room full of booze, it was a climate-controlled document chamber sealed since the 1890s. Inside were gold certificates, bearer bonds, deeds to land across 3 states. Even Civil War-era Treasury notes showing the Sterlings had secretly run supply lines for the Union. But the kicker. The final case, labeled 1897, held the Blackthorn confession proof that Lysandra's great-great-grandfather was a Confederate spy who lost everything to the Sterlings legally as the price of treason. For a century, her family had chased a fortune they forfeited fair and square. Lysandra's empire unraveled fast. The feds raided 6 states, arresting her husband, brother-in-law, and cousin, the sheriff. Everyone complicit in this decades-long racket. At her federal trial, the victims testified the Vietnamese family forced to sell the Kowalski's bankrupted Michael Roberts. In his wheelchair, David Chen's widow revealing her husband's suicide. The jury took 93 minutes. Guilty on all counts, 25 years in prison, no parole for $340 million in restitution, assets seized. And you know what? The best moment came when the judge said, "Mrs. Blackthorn, your family lost their fortune because they committed treason. You lost yours because you committed crimes against your fellow citizens." The parallel is poetic, if tragic. After the trial, Sterling Bay became famous. The vault became a museum yacht owners invested, and I founded the Sterling Defense Fund to help victims of HOA abuse. The Michigan legislature passed the Sterling Protection Act. Then Congress followed with the Homeowner Defense Act, finally putting real teeth into HOA regulation. Every family who'd lost a marina got restitution. The government honored the Civil War bonds and put the historic documents in the National Archives. The yacht school thrived. The research station published breakthroughs, and the marina became a beacon for anyone who'd ever been bullied by a crooked board. 10 years later, I married Patricia Stone, the attorney who saved me. Our daughter Sterling took her first steps on the dock that Lysandra tried to steal. And every morning I walk past a plaque with William Sterling's words, "Guard this place as proof that standing up to bullies is worth any price." But let me leave you with this. Yesterday, my maintenance guy found a rusted box under slip C7 with a journal that says the real Sterling legacy is spread across 7 marinas. 4 are already accounted for. 3 are still out there. And this morning I got a call from Melissa Walsh, Lysandra's own daughter, who found letters hinting at a secret the government's been hunting since the Cold War. So if you think the story ends here, think again. Would you risk everything to defend what's yours, even if it meant taking on a corrupt system? Drop your answer in the comments. If you've battled an HOA or fought to protect your legacy, share your story, because Sterling Bay is living proof that no matter how powerful the bully, truth and justice always find their way to the surface. And if you want to see what we dig up at the next marina, well, you know what to do. Subscribe and stay tuned.